All right, I should. Can you guys hear me now? I had myself muted earlier because I was setting stuff up, but I should be live now. Let me know if I'm not, or well, I guess you've got no way of telling me if I'm not. Um, okay, you should be able to hear me now though, James. If you can't, there's a problem. There's not really any way for you to tell me, but so we had this tornado warning over here. It was a radar indicated tornado warning. It expires at 5:30 p.m. Okay, cool. It expires at 5:30 p.m. I believe this is Eastern time. Expires at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, so the tornado warned storm has moved out of the tornado warned area, and they're letting that expire. The rotation that was found in this has died down significantly, and so we really quickly will take a look at the watches that we have in place. So solely radar view. That way we can kind of take a look at what's going on. I haven't been watching the storms earlier. I know that there were a couple of tornado warnings throughout this area, which I don't have the watches showing right now, but there is, if you guys saw just a minute ago, tornado watch for a significant portion down here. It appears as though we've got another tornado warning out here in eastern Texas. So we'll grab this Louisiana radar to take a look at that. As soon as this radar site loads, we'll be able to figure out what we're dealing with here. Come on. It's taking its sweet time trying to connect to this radar site here. There we are. Okay. So it is a little on the difficult side to figure out what's going on here with these uh, lightning strikes. So I'm going to turn those off. We will grab base velocity. And so we do see that change in direction down here. If I really quickly just come down here and grab the telestration tool, I can show you that this is going away from the radar, and this is going toward the radar. And so where you have that bit of convergence right here, you also have air flowing this way and air flowing this way, which is a counterclockwise rotating cell, which is what we look for when we're looking for tornadic activity. I'll go ahead and clear that. So we do see a bit of this rotation here. This tornado warning is for, it's until 5 p.m. Central Daylight Time for Central Liberty County. And the text just reads at 4:26 p.m. Central Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Dayton Lakes, or 13 miles north of Liberty, moving east at 45 miles per hour. Tornado warning in Alabama. It was that storm that was tornado warned over here. So we'll come over here and take a look at that. Unfortunately, there isn't a very good radar site for this, so we will have to make do with what we've got, I guess. How's it going, King Isaac? We'll come over here to this Jackson radar. It seems to be the closest one. If not, we can try the one south of Birmingham or the one near Montgomery. So yes, we do have rotation here. This is radar indicated, and the warning was issued at 5:29, which let me quickly here pull up the timestamp. There we are. And I'm in Eastern time, so this is in Eastern time, whereas the events over here are happening in Central Daylight Time, which actually, if you give me just a moment here, I am going to quickly, I'll switch over to watch and reflectivity really fast. Come back over to radar view. Okay. There is still rotation embedded in this. We're going to come over to, once I closed out of the program, all of my settings got changed, so you're going to have to bear with me for just a moment here. Reflectivity. There we are. Okay. So there is a little bit of a hook-like shape in this one. This is actually a rather small supercell. There is rotation in this, though. Back when we were looking at the base velocity, we could see that there was a little bit of a couplet. Now, couplets typically have a couple of toward the radar and away from the radar, but what we were seeing here is we found a couplet of very strong toward the radar and very weak away from the radar site, and very strong away from the radar site. And so when you get that very strong motion combined with a very weak motion, you end up getting a circulation inside of that. So that's why you can see an area of no couplet, but it produces, or it's even a warned storm, or something along those lines. We'll try this Alabaster radar site down here and see if we can see the storm any better. I've got my fingers crossed that we can. I haven't kept up with the storms so far today. I've actually been pretty busy myself, so I don't know which of these storms have histories of producing tornadoes. So if they do end up producing any more tornadoes, of course, I will know, and I'll be able to tell, say if they have or not. But We do have a moderate risk for severe storms today. And here we go. This isn't really any better. And a lot of it has to do with all these storms up here to the north that are blocking the radar beam, or the radar beam's like weak down here. We'll see if we can see anything on base velocity, but I'm expecting to see a lot of range folding. Yeah, tons of range folding. So we can't actually see if there's much rotation in there from this radar at least. So we will go back to this radar site because it was giving us the best view. Sorry, switching between radar sites puts a kink in the whole system. So it takes a minute to actually pull the data from the different radar sites. If you were using like a tool that the broadcasters use on TV and whatnot, they use a lot of them use WSI or Baron. They get the benefit of like actually downloading the data and keeping it on their computer or on their server, so that they don't have to re-download it every time they switch between radar sites and viewpoints and all that stuff. But like I said, we do have this tornado warning here. It's radar indicated. It's for northern Choctaw County and southwestern Alabama. It's until 5:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time. It was issued at 4:29, and it's for a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. It was located at over Lisbon, or 6 miles northwest of Butler, moving east at 45 miles per hour. So we'll come back over to reflectivity here, and we will track this guy out. So we're going to grab our tracking tool here, and this is moving east at 44 miles per hour. So this will be at Pennington in 12 minutes, or Myrtlewood in 21 minutes. This is headed, Pennington is currently under a tornado warning. I don't believe that Myrtlewood is just yet, but this storm is headed in that direction. So Pennington will probably get hit by the southern side of the storm, which is where that tornado would probably be. We're getting in a new scan right now, so we will see. Okay, so we've got our new scan in. This has moved closer to Pennington. We are going very quickly to look at base velocity and see if anything's changed. A lot more range folding now, which is all of this little purple bit. Basically what's going on is the signal has been sent out by the radar, but because it took so long to get a return, it is showing up in this like little purple area down here. It took so long to return the radar beam that another beam was sent out, so it throws out all that data and just turns it purple, essentially is what's going on. So we're unable to really tell if there's much rotation going on in this, which is very, very unfortunate. And for anybody new who's tuning in, we'll come back over to the watch and reflectivity over here. There is a tornado watch for far eastern Texas, most of Louisiana, to the far south, and Mississippi, or southern to central Mississippi, and then mostly southern Alabama. The southern Alabama one was the most recent tornado watch that was issued. Was a new tornado watch issued? I don't believe a new one was issued. We are going to very quickly come over here and check. So I'm going to come over to the radar. We'll pull out a little bit, and we will go ahead and toggle watches very quickly now. Nope, it's the same as before. Okay. We are all good then. We are still watching. The tornado warning that was over here in Texas has expired. We're still watching this tornado warning over here in Choctaw County, Alabama. This remains in effect until 5:15 p.m., and this is a thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado. Is it still buffering for you guys? It's okay. All right, good. I keep getting an error saying that you guys are experiencing buffering. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot I can do about my internet situation at the moment. I'm gonna have to make do with it, essentially. But we still have this tornado warning storm right here. It is headed toward Pennington, and the tornado warning is in effect until. It appears as though they've now set to expire at 5 p.m. It was 5:15 earlier, but the storm appears to have picked up in speed a little bit, just very briefly. So we will go ahead and track this guy out. He's moving at 39 miles per hour. Here we are. This will be at Myrtlewood in 19 minutes. So if you know anybody who lives in Pennington or in Myrtlewood, you need to tell them to take shelter because they are in the line of this storm. And quickly, I'm going to go ahead and change the track color here. See if this works anymore. Any better? Nope, still wants to look weird. That's fine. So this is headed toward Pennington and Myrtlewood. Pennington and Choctaw County, Alabama, and then Myrtlewood. I'm not sure which county this is in, but it is headed in that direction. I'm also going to quickly turn on the highways. Manage roads. Here we are. Okay, we've got everything on now. So this this potential tornado is riding just north of State Road 156 to the east of State Road 17. So if you know anybody that lives near Pennington or along and north of State Road 156 and to the east of State Road 17, they are under a tornado warning and they need to take shelter. And it appears as though they've changed the expiration time to 5:15 once again. It was 5:15 earlier, then they changed it to 5 o'clock. Now they've got it at 5:15 again. So we still have this tornado warning storm moving almost due east, slightly north, so about east-northeast, to the south of Linden. Linden is not under a tornado warning at all. Currently, the only major town that's in the path of this storm that's under a tornado warning is Pennington here. We also have this this squall line that's setting up over here to the west that will be impacting the same area. Currently, a severe thunderstorm warning over here for Meridian, Quietman, and Bay Springs. I am going to come back up to this radar site and see if it's any better in terms of looking at this one severe thunderstorm warned, or sorry, this tornado warned cell over here. No, it's not much better still. So we will come over to base velocity really quickly to take a look at what there is to see. Still not much to see. It's within a range folding area of both this radar site and that radar site. So we're not getting a whole lot in the way of feedback as to what's going on here. Still radar indicated. Now, even though it's radar indicated, you need to be taking precautions if you live within this tornado warned area, specifically if you live to the east of State Road 17 in Choctaw County. And take a look and make sure there are no other tornado warned storms anywhere else. We have the one tornado warning down there, and it looks as though that's it. There are a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings up here, and also some severe thunderstorm warnings down here in the tornado watch area. But currently, it appears as though the only tornado warning that we've got is the one that we've had our eyes on here for a little bit. So we're going to come back over to reflectivity. And this whole storm, when it'll be impacting people, this is moving east at 39 miles per hour. So this storm will be impacting Myrtlewood in 3 minutes, Linden in 15 minutes, and Providence in 17 minutes. So if you know anybody who lives in those areas, tell them to take shelter. Because they're not under a tornado warning quite yet, but a tornado warned storm is headed toward them. So definitely make sure that your family members are okay. And once again, we're getting a new scan in. Once this new scan comes in, we will track it one more time. Okay. Don't pay any attention to that. That was a bad... So once again, this will be at Myrtlewood in 4 minutes, Linden in 17 minutes, and Providence in 19 minutes. So if you know anyone who is in Pennington, especially because the storm's headed over it right now, you need to tell them to take shelter because they are directly underneath this storm. Okay, and now it looks like they've issued a severe thunderstorm warning as opposed to a tornado warning for Marengo County in southwestern Alabama until 5:30 p.m. This is for the storm that we've just talked about here in Pennington, headed toward Linden, Thomaston, and Dayton, as well as Myrtlewood. So this has been downgraded from a tornado warning. It appears as though they are going to allow this tornado warning here to expire. And currently we don't have any other tornado warnings going on with the exception of this one down here. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to switch over here to this radar view. It's a little lower resolution, but that's fine. Since there's nothing at the moment severe going on, we'll go ahead and quickly turn off the radomes. And I am going to just allow this to play out. And if there are any tornado warnings, if there are any other tornado warnings, I will come back. But as for now, it appears as though the only tornado warning is set to expire, and so I'm just going to leave this on this view for the time being. Once something happens, I'll be back though. watches, and currently there are tornado watches throughout eastern Texas into majority of Louisiana here, throughout south central Mississippi, and even into parts of southern Alabama. So that's what we're looking at right now. We still have an eye on this tornado warning here in Rapids Parish, as well as, what was the other parish? Vernon Parish in west central Louisiana. Currently, it's moving toward Rapids Parish as we speak, but we will come back over to radar so that you can see that in full detail. So this is the tornado warned storm, and now that we've got more of a view on it, I'm going to come back over to base velocity and see if there's any rotation. Yeah, it's the same area too, but the one good thing is that the tornado risk on this is actually a lot lower than it was on Easter. So you're mainly looking at the risk of wind and hail primarily. So we'll see a lot of these severe thunderstorm warnings and not as many tornadoes. And actually, since there doesn't appear to be any rotation with this, at least at the moment, I will zoom out really quickly so that you can see the watches and warnings. Got a spattering here of severe thunderstorm warnings throughout mainly Louisiana, but we also have a couple here in eastern Mississippi and western Alabama, as well as one down here in southwestern Mississippi. So we're still keeping an eye on this tornado warned storm, though, just in case it produces, because just because we can't see it and just because radar's not necessarily showing rotation doesn't necessarily mean there isn't anything on the ground. If the Storm Prediction, or not Storm Prediction Center, if the National Weather Service has you under a tornado warning, you need to be abiding by that tornado warning, because they have a lot of information that we don't necessarily have. So just because we can't see it, always go by what the National Weather Service says. And we're getting a new update in, so once this comes in fully, we will quickly grab the base velocity one more time. Base velocity is just getting the scan through. Still not seeing very much, if any, rotation at all here. This is mainly just winds blowing in one direction. Yeah, we're mainly still seeing winds blowing in one direction here. So this the rotation that was here, which if we actually come back to base velocity, we can animate through this. There was a bit of rotation in back off to the west, and it seems as it's pushed past the radar site, the rotation has died down quite a bit. And if we come over here to reflectivity too, we can even see that it had a nice little hook on it. Oh, that's not good. What happened there? There we go. We can see that it even had a nice hook on it back out here to the west. And I'm actually going to grab correlation coefficient because I actually missed this one. I was not here for this. I had to go walk my dog. So I do want to see if there was ever a drop in the correlation coefficient, because that was a very pronounced hook. There may have been a brief hook there, or there may have been a brief debris ball there. I'm going to come back a little bit further to see if I can tell if there was a debris ball, if that was deemed a debris ball. Because there is this right here to the north of Leeville that looks like a debris ball. Right here, if we come back over to reflectivity, we can see it's right in the heart of that hook. So this may have had a tornado on the ground before. So the fact that they're still keeping this tornado warned is not necessarily surprising, seeing as though it probably dropped a tornado off here to the north of Leesville. But it looks like anything that may have happened, whether there was a tornado back here or not, the rotation seems to have fallen away, as there's not a hook here anymore, nor is there an apparent couplet. So we're going to keep an eye on that, but we also need to make sure there are no other tornado warnings anywhere else. It doesn't appear so. So we're going to come back down here. But like I was saying earlier, this likely isn't going to be a very active night. At least for tornadoes, it definitely will be active for wind and for hail, but the conditions just aren't as there for a large tornado threat. We've got a 15% risk here for a lot of the southern states, as well as a significant severe. So tornadoes that do touch down in this area are likely to be at least EF2 or above. But that being said, it doesn't appear. It appears as though like there's a 45% hail or wind risk for Alabama and Georgia, as well as a 30% wind risk or sorry hail risk. My bad. For Texas, Louisiana, parts of southern Mississippi, and Alabama as well. So we're definitely looking at more of a wind and hail threat than we are a tornado threat this time around. So this isn't exactly like Easter Sunday, fortunately, because there were a few massive tornadoes from that storm, a couple of EF4s. And with that said, the tornado warning has expired. And this is no longer a tornado warned storm, just severe thunderstorm warned. We've got a couple of these severe thunderstorm warned storms all around here. Most of them are actually for a combination of wind and hail in a lot of these. For this one here, the severe thunderstorm warning for Rapids Parish and Vernon Parish in west central Louisiana, is for 3/4 inch hail and 70-mile-per-hour winds. So that is some intense hail and wind in this. I do quickly want to take a look at what's going on here. See if there's rotation with that. There's no rotation with this. So there's a little bit of a hook right here, and I was nervous that this may have been a hook echo, but because there's no rotation associated with it, it doesn't seem as though it is. We are getting a new scan in, though. I'm going to keep my eye on that, though, because it's curled up even more now. As soon as the scan completely comes in, I'm going to switch back over to base velocity and take a look at this hook right here. Still not seeing much. There's a little, like 3 pixel wide thing right here of wind moving away, but that could very well be a glitch. And that's in this clear spot right here. So we are watching this little structure right here to see if anything happens. Currently, no tornado warnings, which is good news. So we are still going to keep our eye on some of these storms. This cell right here may have produced a tornado back in Vernon Parish, and it's currently pushing into I believe Rapids Parish. Yeah. And that gets ever bigger. Nothing on correlation coefficient, so that's definitely not a debris ball. All right, guys, I'm going to let this play out until we have another tornado warned storm. So very quickly here, let's come over to National Radar, and we'll animate this forward. And if there is another tornado warning, I will be back on. Okay, it looks like we've got a new tornado warning down here now. And for that, I'm going to go ahead and stop this and come over to our reflectivity over here, and I'm going to make sure that I'm on the correct radar site. So we will... Man, do all the tornadoes have to happen in these really inconvenient spots? I think actually this is the second time this area has been under a tornado warning today. Yeah, actually, it was just north in this Pennington area that was under a tornado warning earlier. We're getting a scan in, so we're going to take a look at that once we actually get it in. But for now, I'll just read this. The tornado warnings for central Choctaw County and southwestern Alabama. It's until 6:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. At 5:40 p.m. Central Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 5 miles north of Toxie, or 9 miles southwest of Butler, moving east at 50 miles per hour. So we have this tornado warning here, which there's no good radar site to actually look at this. It's about equal distance from almost every radar site, and that's far away. So if we look at base velocity, it's still difficult to see rotation here, but I'm assuming that it's this right here. So what's going on is we have winds. Here, let me come over to the telestration tool. We have winds here that are moving away from the radar very quickly, and then we have winds here that are moving away from the radar not as quickly. And so, actually, that's not even where the rotation is. The rotation is up here, where we have quick winds and then slow winds. They're both moving in the same direction, but because there's less resistance from the winds that are moving slower over on this side, the winds are curving back around and rotating in this kind of a fashion. So even though all the wind is moving in the same direction, we still have rotation, and that's what we're looking at right now. Let me go ahead and clear the telestration tool, and we'll come back over to reflectivity. It's radar indicated, and Needham is currently basically under it at this point, and it is moving east at about 51 miles per hour. So if I go ahead and track this out here, that looks about this. So that means that it's going to be at Butler. Butler is not under a tornado warning. The tornado warning's to the south, but Butler in 1 minute and Sweetwater in 25 minutes. So once again, Butler's not under a threat of a tornado at the moment. Needham is, and Sweetwater might be. This is going to be passing State Road 17 soon, within the next minute or so. So if you know anyone that lives in Needham or lives south of State Road 10 or to the along or east of State Road 17, you need to tell them to take shelter because they are currently under a tornado warning. So we'll go ahead and clear that track. And once this moves a little bit further to the east, one of these two radar sites might be better equipped to deal with this, but as of right now, I think that KDGX, the Jackson, Mississippi radar site, is going to be the best to deal with this at the moment. We're going to switch over to correlation coefficient. This is going to be really high up, actually. If we go ahead and... This is about 10,000 feet off the ground, so it's very difficult to see what's going on in this, seeing as though we're about 10,000 feet or 3,000 meters off the ground. But we're going to come over to correlation coefficient anyway. If something could lob debris up that high, that's impressive and deadly. So, but fortunately, no debris, or at least none that we can see up 10,000 feet up. But once again, this tornado warning is for central Choctaw County and southwestern Alabama until 6:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. This was issued about 7 minutes ago at 5:40 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and we're getting a new scan in right now. Wow, that absolutely booked it in the last couple minutes. Okay, we'll come back over to base velocity and see if we can tell what's going on here. It's scanning through right now with base velocity. Ooh, little pocket of rotation here just south of Butler. Little pocket right up there. But we also have the tornado warning down here that we're dealing with. I'm assuming that what's going on is there's the rotation right in here. And of course, because we're so high up, this is very broad rotation. It's difficult to see if this is tighter or closer to the ground because we can't get an actual scan closer to the ground. I will quickly switch radar sites. Probably try this Mobile, Alabama one. See if it comes up with anything else. And it looks almost exactly the same, but we'll come back to base velocity and oh yeah, okay. So they're probably using this Mobile, Alabama radar site because there is very obvious rotation right on from this radar site. So if we come to the telestration tool, we can see that the green is coming toward the radar, which is due south, and this is going away from the radar, which is due north. And there is rotation right inside there. So that's likely why they went ahead and tornado warned this. That's actually giving us the best view on this. And if we quickly look at the radial measure tool, this is actually closer to the ground too. This is at about 9,000, or just over 8.5 thousand feet, or 2,625 meters. And so this is actually closer to the ground. We are getting a better view of this storm. And if we come over to the debris indicator, that might be debris. Right in this area here, that might be debris. I don't want to jump on that too fast and say that it is, though, because they haven't changed the warning. So it doesn't appear as though they think it's debris, unless they just haven't had time to change the warning since that newest scan came through. Still radar indicated. We haven't gotten any new scans in, though, either. Here's a new scan. Okay, so now that we've gotten the new scan in, we're going to come over to correlation coefficient. And that's likely just hail. There's likely ice being lofted up this high, and so this is a hail spike, it appears. Because there's almost certainly some decent-sized hail, less than 3/4 of an inch hail associated with this storm. And so quickly, because the it hasn't changed yet. I am going to go ahead and show you guys the watches. So currently there are tornado watches in eastern Texas, throughout the majority of Louisiana, as well as in southern and central Mississippi, including southern Alabama. And we currently are watching this tornado warning here, which we will come back to. They've shrunk the warning, and they likely did this because the storm has moved further to the east. They appear to be more on this tornado warning here than they have been on previous ones, in terms of actually shrinking the warning. But it is worth noting that even though it's moving fairly quickly at about 50 miles per hour to the east-northeast, they haven't extended the warning yet, and it's about to push out of the county. So I believe if they don't extend it here soon, they might just let this expire. We're going to come back to base velocity, and that looks horrendous. There it goes. There's definitely rotation in that, though. Like, this is some pretty clear rotation here. This is very high up, but there's clearly inbound and outbound winds here, producing little bits of rotation. Go ahead and clear that from the telestration tool. Come back over to reflectivity. And so this little mesodetection thing just tells me where there's likely a mesocyclone, which this is actually further back than where it should be. It actually should be right here. But I believe that that's watches and warnings. I meant to go to base velocity. I believe that it's seeing something like this little bit of rotation right in here, and it's calling that rotation where there's actually not any precip, and there may be some clouds, but that's not likely going to develop into anything. We will see quickly if they've changed the text at all. A tornado warning remains in effect until 6:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time for central Choctaw County. At 5:52 p.m. Central Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 7 miles southeast of Butler, moving east at 50 miles per hour. So they have not changed the text yet. They extended the warning. And this new warning is for southern Marengo County in southwestern Alabama until 6:45 p.m. Central Daylight Time. At 5:54 p.m. Central Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 7 miles southwest of Putnam, or 8 miles southeast of Butler, moving east at 50 miles per hour. Yep, that's what we're looking at right now, Dan. And I believe the reason for this is because the rotation appears to have intensified. It's once again important to note that this is about 9,000 feet off the ground. We're actually getting a new scan in right now. If it will finish up. So we are going to come back to reflectivity. And I'm going to go ahead and track this guy out, although we're getting another scan in, it seems. Now it's updated. We've got to redraw this guy out. So this is moving due east at about 50 miles per hour. So this is supposed to skirt any major city. Sweetwater, I believe, is on the border of this tornado warning. The tornado warning primarily is for the south of State Road 10. And currently this potential tornado is going to be moving across State Road 69 here in about 3 minutes. So We are going to continue watching this to make sure anybody in the path, if anybody's watching or anyone knows anybody in the path of this, they've extended the tornado warning to the south as well. This is for north central Clark County in southwestern Alabama until 6:45 Central Daylight Time. At 5:57 p.m. Central Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 6 miles southwest of Putnam or 8 miles southeast of Butler, moving east at 40 miles per hour. And they're both still citing radar-indicated rotation, so no storm spotters have confirmed a tornado on the ground, but that being said, you always respect the polygon. Just because there may not be storm chasers in this area or storm spotters in this area, as well as the fact that we are so far off the ground that we are very unlikely to see any debris with this if there is an actual tornado associated. So yeah, very difficult to see. This is base velocity. We'll come over to correlation coefficient. It'd be very difficult to see a debris ball on this. This, just for people who are wondering, is not a debris ball. This is likely due to hail. So that's very unlikely to be anything. If a tornado was capable of sending debris up 9,000 feet, that would be an incredibly powerful tornado. Is there anything else going on anywhere else? It appears not. It looks like the only tornado warnings right now are for this area down here. And as this moves further and further to the east, I'm hoping to be able to use another radar site closer to it, because this is actually fairly far away. Very deep hail signature here. Wow. 2-inch hail in this cell over here. That's nuts. That's a very dense hail core. But coming back over here, because this is the main story at the moment, we're going to come over to base velocity, and you can just really see that it's very broad rotation this high up, but because we can't get a scan closer to the ground, this may actually be some tighter rotation closer down to the ground. That's actually why there are two different tornado warnings here, is because it's difficult to pinpoint where the rotation actually is. Well, also they're being warned by two different national weather services. The southern one's for Mobile, Alabama. This northern one is for Birmingham, Alabama. But there's definitely an increase in wind here for this southernmost tornado warning. So for those of you who are following along who haven't heard this yet, you say this a lot whenever you're dealing with tornadoes. This is inbound winds, and since the winds are to the south, or since the radar site's to the south, this is pointing to the south. These are winds toward the radar. And then you have outbound winds over here. These are winds going away from the radar. And so within this, you have rotating wind like so. So this is where that potential tornado is. So we're going to come back over to reflectivity because we're going to get our best view on it that way. We're getting a scan in right now. It's losing its shape a little bit, which is a good sign. We'll come back over to base velocity, and the scan's coming in now, and base velocity is, I think, is the same scan as earlier. Yep. Okay, the rotation's still there. So we still have these inbound winds here and these outbound winds here. And they're very strong, especially right in this area, which does suggest that there may be a tornado on the ground. Of course, that's difficult to actually say from this far away from the radar site. These are still saying that this is radar indicated. Always, 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 if it says radar indicated, take it seriously. Take any tornado warned storm seriously, because you just don't know if there's going to be anything there or not. So while we keep an eye on this, we are going to just quickly make sure that watches are the same still. No new watches, it seems. There was a new mesoscale discussion, though. Let's take a look at what that says. Okay, this is actually for the area that we're looking at right now. And so, quickly, what we're going to do for anybody new tuning in, we're going to switch back over to this view here, where you can see that there is a tornado watch in effect for far eastern Texas, into Louisiana, as well as for southern and central Mississippi, including parts of southern Alabama. And so that's where the majority of this tornado threat is. We see that they let the other tornado warning off here to the west expire, and so we're now dealing with this tornado warning down here to the south, and this tornado warning down here to the north. They're both, up here to the north. They're both set to expire at 6:45 p.m. Central Daylight Time. They're both for radar indicated tornadoes, or radar indicated rotation. So going ahead and tracking this out, this is about right here. It's moving east-southeast at about 38 miles per hour. So this will be at Thomasville in 24 minutes. If you know anybody who lives in Thomasville, you need to tell them to take shelter. This is currently about to pass State Road 69. This is a fairly slow-moving storm, only moving at 38. The northernmost portion of it is actually pushing out ahead quite a bit at 52 miles per hour. And we have a new tornado warning over here in that pocket where there was that really dense hail. We're going to come down here to this southern Louisiana radar. Take a look at what's going on here. Oh yeah, there's a hook there. So if we come over to base velocity, we can see that there is a couplet here, which I know I've said this like 14 times in the past 5 minutes, but for anybody who is unsure about this, this is winds coming toward the radar, winds coming away from the radar. In the center here, where these winds are maxed out, is a small localized area of rotation where we're likely to see a tornado, if any. So this is right along this border here. This tornado warning is for St. Helena Parish, Feliciana Parish, Tangipahoa Parish, Pike County, and Emite counties in southern. The counties are in southern Mississippi. The parishes are in southeastern Louisiana. And this is until 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time. There's nothing showing up on correlation coefficient at the moment. I do want to animate this really quickly to see what that hook is doing. It appears to just have really formed and tightened in the last 10 minutes or so, which is around the same time that they put the tornado warning there. So this is the inflow notch right here. We've got inbound winds, and then this is the outflow notch, or the outflow, the rear flank downdraft. New scan in, and that appears to be falling apart. We can look at base velocity here, and it doesn't look like we've actually updated yet on base velocity. It still shows up here on base velocity, this area of rotation. So we will keep an eye on this, because this is this could be a tornado. We'll grab correlation coefficient. Not seeing anything on there just yet to indicate debris. But there also is some very, very large hail associated with this storm. And in fact, if we really quickly come over here to mean estimated hail size, I don't have an upper third for it yet. I'll have to get one of those soon. But we're looking at 2-inch hail in places. More like, especially in northern portions of this tornado warned storm, even parts of the eastern side of this like massive storm headed off to the east. Okay, I'm being called downstairs. I have to go help with dinner, so I'm gonna have to hop off of here, you guys. There's still still a couple of tornado warnings here. So keep an eye on these. I'm gonna have to end the stream now. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'm sorry that this had to end so early. So I will see you guys later.